You're sitting in a quiet room, maybe a waiting room, maybe a train car, maybe just your own kitchen at night, and out of nowhere, a strange prickling feeling crawls up the back of your neck. You turn around, and there they are, someone, somewhere behind you, already looking directly at you. You didn't hear them approach, you didn't catch a reflection. Something in you knew before you consciously knew, but the real answer is far stranger than instinct and far older than you'd expect. Your brain has been running a dedicated detection system for this exact moment since before you were born, and it's older than language itself. For most of human history, being looked at wasn't a social nicety, it was a matter of survival. Eyes on you in the dark, in tall grass, in the shadow of a tree line could mean one thing. Something was deciding whether you were prey, so evolution didn't leave this to chance. It built a specialized piece of neural hardware just for spotting eyes, and only eyes, faster than almost anything else your visual system does. This isn't a metaphor, it's an actual dedicated circuit sitting quietly in the background of your mind right now, scanning. Psychologist Simon Baron-Cohen at the University of Cambridge gave this system a name. He called it the eye direction detector. In his research on how humans learn to read intentions, he proposed that this mechanism is one of the very first pieces of social cognition to switch on in infancy, active in babies only weeks old, long before they can speak, long before they can even sit up on their own. It scans faces, it locks onto eyes before it registers a nose, a mouth, or an expression, and it calculates almost instantly whether those eyes are pointed at you or somewhere else. You don't do this on purpose, you couldn't switch it off if you tried. It's running underneath your conscious mind the same way your heartbeat is, constant, automatic, and completely outside your control. Here's where it gets stranger. This detector isn't just fast, it's disproportionately powerful compared to almost every other part of your visual attention. Researchers Alexandra Frishen, Andrew Bayless, and Stephen Tipper reviewed decades of experiments on what's known as gaze cueing, and what they found should unsettle you a little. Your attention will automatically shift toward wherever someone else's eyes are looking, even when you're explicitly told to ignore it, even when doing so actively hurts your performance on the task in front of you. Your own brain will follow a stranger's gaze against your conscious will. Why would evolution ever build something that overrides your intentions that completely? Because for most of your species' existence, a sudden shift in the direction of someone else's eyes was often the fastest warning system available to you. If the person next to you suddenly looked past your shoulder with wide eyes, you didn't have time to ask why. You had time to turn and look. That's it. The humans who turned survived to pass on the habit of turning. The humans who calmly kept talking, in many cases, didn't get the chance to pass anything on at all. And your own eyes are part of the trick. Look at almost any other primate, and you'll notice their eyes are mostly dark, iris and pupil blending into a barely visible sclera. Human eyes are different. The white of your eye is unusually large, exposed, and highly visible against the color of your iris, readable even from a distance, even in dim light. Some researchers argue this trait, sometimes called the cooperative eye hypothesis, evolved specifically so that other humans could read your gaze direction easily, and that only makes sense in a species that mostly trusted each other enough to want to be readable. It's a strange kind of vulnerability, built directly into your face, seemingly on purpose. Now for the part that should genuinely get under your skin. Colin Clifford and Colin Palmer, researchers at the University of New South Wales, ran a series of experiments trying to measure exactly how accurate humans are at judging whether someone is looking at them versus simply looking near them. What they found is that your brain doesn't wait around for certainty, it rounds up. When someone's gaze direction is ambiguous, even slightly off to the side, your perceptual system is biased toward interpreting it as being aimed directly at you, not away from you. At you. Every single time the signal is unclear, your brain resolves the ambiguity in favor of assuming you are the target. Think about what that actually means. Your detection system isn't built to be accurate. It's built to be paranoid on purpose. A false alarm, thinking you're being watched when you're not, costs you almost nothing beyond a moment of unease. But a missed signal, failing to notice a genuine predator's gaze locked onto you from the tree line, could cost you everything you have. So somewhere in deep evolutionary time, your brain made a trade. It decided it would rather make you flinch 1,000 times for nothing than miss the one time it truly mattered. That prickling feeling on the back of your neck isn't a malfunction, it's a system performing exactly as designed, erring hard and permanently on the side of keeping you alive. You can see the same instinct running through the rest of the animal kingdom if you know where to look. Many prey species, from certain moths to fish to butterflies, have evolved large eye-shaped markings on their bodies, patterns that mean nothing biologically except that they resemble a predator's stare. And it works. Startled birds and lizards will flee from a simple painted eye spot the same way they'd flee from a real hunting gaze, because being watched, or even appearing to be watched, has been a matter of life and death for almost every creature with eyes for hundreds of millions of years. You are not the exception to this rule. You are simply the version of it that can explain why it's happening. And this is where your ancient alarm system quietly runs your entire modern life, usually without your permission. Walk into any store and notice how you instinctively check who's nearby before you glance down at your phone. Sit in a restaurant and notice how you angle your body slightly away from strangers, keeping them in the edge of your vision instead of your blind spot. Feel that specific unease of a security camera's black dome pointed somewhere in your direction, even though you can't see a lens, even though you have no idea whether anyone is watching the feed at all. That unease is your eye direction detector firing on a target it was never designed for, a machine that cannot look at you at all, and your brain still treats it like a predator's stare hidden in the grass. Social media runs on this exact same wiring, just stretched across a screen. Every notification telling you someone viewed your profile, every read receipt, every small eye icon sitting quietly next to a post is triggering the same ancient circuit that once meant a lion crouched somewhere nearby. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real gaze and a digital one. Your amygdala responds the same way it always has, because as far as your evolutionary hardware is concerned, being seen is being seen, whether the eyes belong to a predator, a stranger on a train, or a screen tracking how many people looked at a photo of your face somewhere across the world. Even the layout of the room you're in right now was probably shaped by this, whether you noticed it or not. Think about which seat you chose if you had a choice. Chances are you picked the one facing the door or the one with your back against a wall. That isn't a personality quirk, and it isn't something you were taught. That's tens of thousands of years of ancestors who wanted their vulnerable side, the side eyes could land on without their knowledge, covered at all times. You inherited the habit before you inherited the reason. So the next time that prickling feeling crawls up the back of your neck in a quiet room, you'll know exactly what's happening. It isn't a coincidence, and it isn't superstition. It's a detection system that was built before your species had words for what it was detecting. One that decided, long before you were ever born, that it would rather embarrass you with a false alarm 1,000 times over than let a single real threat slip past unnoticed. You don't turn around because you consciously choose to. You turn around because something ancient inside you already calculated that the risk of not turning around was too high to ignore. And somewhere, right now, in a waiting room, a train car, or your own quiet kitchen, it's still running, quietly, constantly, watching for eyes that might already be watching you back.